let's let Zhou get in. We're running short on time. So Zhou Fengsuo was in Tiananmen and saved Fang Zheng, who was not able to be here today with us from San Francisco, but you know about his story. So you're going to tell us a little bit about that story of you helping to pull him out of the square, and then tell us about what you were doing at that time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. It's an honor to be here, and I just feel so inspired by the first panel. You know, the journalists. The journalists were a big part since 1989. I mean, during the protest, after the massacre, and in keeping the memory alive for the last 30 years. They command my deep respect. You know, in today, if I look at all the professions in the United States, journalists deserve the best. I think when I watch the movie Spotlight, you know, I think that's what reflects in this country. Journalists do the work. Despite all the systematic problems in the country. So in 1989, press freedom was one of the top demands of the students. Actually, if purely from students, this was probably the only demand at that time. I still remember, you know, when I led the students out of Tsinghua University, we were chanting press freedom and democracy. But there are people trying to cheer us. They just wouldn't understand. So, well, if you say something about corruption and the inflation, we would applaud you more. So later we changed. So we start with end corruption. And after we came back, I said, okay, let's write some flares on why press freedom is important for keeping corruption under control. So, even on April 18, you know, 3 days into it, after Hu Yaobang's death, there were a petition of 7 demands, and the most important one is press freedom. And also, journalists in China play a big part in it. Kaixi talked about it. I remember, you know, now looking back, I just realized this year I was probably the first one to offer flowers to Hu Yaobang at People's Monument the next day, because going out of campus to do it's big deal, and. What make it significant? The next day, my words were printed on an official newspaper, and this year, Chen Xiaoya, who is one of the best historians on this, she found that newspaper, and so that was, to me, that was galvanizing. I realized, you know, I can push for change. You know, there will be people, you know, influenced by this, and so. This is very important. And even in May, there was a protest, purely, exclusively by the journalists. We were there just to support them. Over 1,000 journalists sent a petition demanding press freedom. And because the students were demanding dialogue on, you know, the 7 demands petition, the journalists were demanding a dialogue with the party leadership on press freedom at about the same time. So while I was on Tiananmen Square, I was responsible for building this voice of the students' movement. So, and there will be people coming to us with all kinds of requests, and a lot of them, you know, would bring voice clips they recorded, or they would broadcast there. Why the just the official, you know, journalists at the government, but the government outlets, they not allowed to do it. So they would come to us to broadcast They say, we do something official. Now we do something real, something true. So that's.
So come back to the story of Fang Zheng and what happened.
Yeah. Sorry about Fang Zheng. So I didn't see Fang Zheng on Tiananmen Square. What I did, I think, is through Humanitarian China, this organization we founded in San Francisco Bay Area. We brought his family here to United States. So he is able to live here and testify on the event. What's important about Fang Zheng's story is that, let me tell his story first. So the students were leaving Tiananmen Square. This is after the conquering troops occupied Tiananmen Square. So they already had the control. The students were leaving, going west towards campus on Chang'an Street. And there were probably 3 tanks going out of Tiananmen Square, chasing the students from behind, and started with poison gas. So a female student who was with Fang Zheng at that time fainted due to the poison gas. And actually later we knew there's another female student died of poison gas, not of tank attack, poison gas. So she was fainting, and Fang Zheng was carrying her. And he saw the tank coming. He pushed her out of dangerous way, and he was crushed. He lost both of his legs. And this was pictured by French journalists, and so we still have the picture today. And after the students survived, the girl who survived never saw him again. She actually denied being there. And for everyone who survived the tank attack with injury, they were required to cooperate, to lie about the tank attack. So if you mention tank, you will not pass this test, this requirement. And Fang Zheng, from what we know, is probably the only one who stayed to the truth. He said, I was crushed by tank. There's no other way.
It's also worth mentioning, just one sentence, he's an athletic student.
Right. So, the fact that he couldn't be here today, there's a very deep story, a very sad background there. He just realized before he came, he was bleeding nonstop.
For 2 weeks now.
Yeah, and why? Because he's suffering from hepatitis C. How he caught it? This was from 30 years ago. The blood infusion.
The contaminated blood transfusion, and he told us most of those who were wounded got hepatitis C that way. And in fact, 2 weeks ago, Zhang Jian, who was 18 back then and 48, died suddenly. We suspect that's from the complication of hepatitis C. So there's a hepatitis C outbreak among those.
Are you suggesting that was intentional? The government did that intentionally, or was that accidental?
No, we have no proof that's intentional. But
That's the result anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's the result of the massacre.
Probably, but Fang Zheng was telling me probably the doctors back then did not know hepatitis C had ever existed. They knew about hepatitis A and B.